go. We're starting. It says we're starting. There we go. Hello, everybody. What's going on? Olivia Reiner here for day 14 of Packers training camp. We are here at Lambeau Field getting ready to break down everything that happened today at practice. I'm joined by Ryan Wood. Ryan, it's good to see you.
I'm just amazed you know it's day 14. I lost count so long ago.
I've been keeping track.
That's well done.
It's my job. It's part of my job.
It's well done.
I got to write the descriptions and titles for this stuff.
Oh,
so
that helps.
I keep it in mind.
That helps. Day 14.
Yes, so we're getting to the end of this, at least of the open practices.
Well, one interesting thing actually is that Matt LaFleur has carried the true training camp portion of training camp quite a bit longer than Mike McCarthy did in past years. Usually with Mike McCarthy, you'd see some breaking up of ones versus ones and team drills going into even the preseason opener. You'd see more look team, or as we call it, guys going off cards. And you haven't seen that. They haven't gone off cards one time in practice. And with McCarthy, after the preseason opener, there was almost no ones versus ones in team. I mean, you'd go out there and be like, well, this is all scout now. Not so. It's still ones versus ones going into preseason game 2. And Matt LaFleur was actually really interesting today when he was asked about, where are the cards, because like you don't go into a football game blind about your opponent. Even the preseason, you got to have some knowledge to base what you're going to do off of. And they're doing their cards, their scout look, their opponent preparation during evening walkthroughs instead of practice. So what that, if you're looking for differences between Matt LaFleur and Mike McCarthy, it's a pretty big one because they're getting a lot more time with the first offense against the first defense than they did in past years. And it goes into what Aaron Rodgers was saying today, that even though these are shorter practices by minutes, frankly, they've been more competitive and probably in upper tempo than what they've had over the past couple of years because there's been so much ones versus ones in practice comparatively to the past couple of years.
So why aren't they running cards in practice? What benefit is there to taking more time to put the ones against the ones and test out both the offense and the defense?
Yeah, the cliche is iron sharpens iron, and there's a lot to that. I mean, it's more competitive because you got your best on your best offense versus your best defense. Those are competitive drills, much more competitive than if you are going against scout, because you'd expect your best offense to beat up your third defense, and vice versa, your best defense to beat up your third offense. And we haven't seen much of that at all. So it's definitely been interesting because if you this is my 6th camp that I've covered. The first 5, you get used to a certain way of doing things, a timetable. This is when they should, but this is when they typically do this. And it's not been like that this year. It's definitely been different.
All right. Well, let's get to some of your questions. I am looking over on our Facebook Live chat. We should also be over on Periscope and our YouTube page as well. So if you're joining us there, hello. But I will be taking questions from Facebook. So let's see what we got. Oh, Chet is from Pennsylvania. Where in Pennsylvania? Hello. We both met.
You're from Pennsylvania.
I am. That's why
she was curious.
I care.
Yeah.
We both met a viewer of our live streams today at
Tucson,
from Tucson, Arizona. Elliot. It was very nice.
If you're watching, thank you. Nice meeting you.
It's been really fun getting to meet some of you guys out here at training camp. We appreciate it. We love saying hello. All right. Let's see what we got here. I saw a good question earlier. Yes, Mohammed. Hello. He says, good news on Oren Burks. He won't be out for the season. So our Tom Silverstein caught Oren Burks in the locker room briefly, and they had a quick discussion about the severity of Burks' injury because no one has told us about it. Brian Gutekunst was asked this morning about the status of Oren Burks. He didn't have anything to say, but Burks apparently said that his injury won't require surgery. So in that case, do you think he'll be put on IR, or do you think he'll be able to heal this quickly?
Well, that's a good question. I think what Tom reported was that he's day-to-day right now, and there's a reason why both Brian Gutekunst and Matt LaFleur have had zero details about Oren Burks, and not that they would otherwise, because typically injuries are pretty hush-hush anyway, but in this case, I think there's legitimate uncertainty on how long he'll be out. So I don't think, IR, that a lot of that depends on how long he will actually be out, and they've said that they're working through that right now. So I don't know, but certainly when you have him saying day to day, that's a whole lot better than saying, he doesn't need surgery. So there's a good possibility he could bypass IR.
So with that all in mind, Terrence asks, and this is something that we discussed not yesterday, but 2 days ago in our live stream with Pete Doherty. He wants to know, do the Packers add another inside linebacker? At the time, when we didn't know what the status of Oren Burks' injury is, and we still don't really know, but especially a couple days ago when we really didn't know, Pete said it's probably a good idea for them to go out and look and find another inside linebacker. Relying on your 7th-round pick, Ty Summers, or an undrafted free agent in Curtis Bolton, probably not the best idea. But knowing that Oren Burks' injury isn't as bad as we maybe thought it was originally, do they go out and look for another inside linebacker?
Did Pete say how many he thought they should keep?
On the 53?
Yeah.
No, we did not talk about that.
Because that to me that's one of the things I'm really curious about what they do there. Because typically you keep 4 inside linebackers, but they could keep 3. They could go short at that position because they have so much of that third safety look. Raven Green, who's that hybrid safety, kind of sub linebacker type box safety. He could be counted on the 53 as an inside linebacker, and that could be your 4th. So they might not, they might not have to do that if they just want to go with Blake Martinez, Ty Summers, James Crawford for special teams, and then have a Raven Green, but Oren Burks. It'll be interesting to see how many they keep there.
Yeah, definitely something to keep an eye on, and something that we will be keeping tabs on, trying to figure out when Oren Burks is going to be back. So Braden wants to know, well, he doesn't really have a question, but he says he is ready to see the starters play in Baltimore. So Ryan Wood will be in Baltimore for the Packers News contingent. We will all be working remotely, the rest of us. So Ryan will be your feet on the ground. He will be your eyes in the sky, whatever the cliches are.
Although apparently not that high in the sky.
Oh, really?
I've never been to Baltimore Stadium, but apparently the press box sits kind of low.
Oh,
so
that's kind of different.
Nice. That'll be nice.
Interesting. Well, anyway, he'll be the one there. So anyway, the starters. So apparently we're going to be seeing more of the starters. Definitely it sounds like Aaron Rodgers is going to get some playing time in Baltimore. Who are you looking forward to seeing get out there?
I think in general the offense, right? How does this offense look as a collective whole? Because this is really the first time. And what we saw in the opener is not Week 1 Packers. That's not what you're seeing Week 1. Sorry if you paid full price of admission. Those are the backups. So, I mean, that's what it is. This is the real first unveiling of this offense with Aaron Rodgers, and so that'll be very interesting to see, obviously. The other side, how does the pass rush look? I mean, how do the Smiths look? They've put a lot of resources into their edge rush. What are some of the Mike Pettin isn't going to show his hand schematically, but can these guys win mano a mano? I mean, that's the question, and how they look in that type of way. Then the secondary, getting Adrian Amos back there with Darnell Savage Jr. That'll be interesting. So, there's a lot to look at. Bottom line, this is your Week 1. This is your first look at Week 1 Packers. Mm-hmm. Opener against Texans was not what you'll see against the Bears.
Fun fact about Adrian Amos, he is from Baltimore.
He is.
And his very first game in Baltimore as a Chicago Bear was in 2017, and he had his first touchdown there.
I was going to ask Adrian Amos today some hard-hitting questions about where to find the best crab kicks, but I actually talked to him about tackling instead. So
that sounds like a poor use of your time.
I know. I'm still looking for recommendations on crab cakes out there. So
well, if you have any, if you're from Baltimore, if you've been to Baltimore, this is your guy. He needs some help.
I need crab cakes.
So Michael wants to know how Tony Brown is looking. And Tony Brown, Aaron Rodgers spoke about him pretty extensively today and had some high praise for Tony Brown. Said he's a guy with a lot of energy. He's an inspiring guy, but he's been getting a lot of opportunities with Kevin King out with his injury.
And he's a worker.
And he's a worker. He's a vocal guy. He seems to like to get into it verbally on the field from what we've noticed. Talk some smack, perhaps. That's part of his game. But he
has a personality.
He has a personality, but he not only that, but he has the effort and the work to back it up.
Well, Aaron Rodgers said, it's cliche, first guy in, last guy to leave, but Tony Brown actually is that way. And he said I can vouch for Tony Brown that there's times I leave the building and he's still working out. I mean, that's the kind of young player he is. So he backs up the talk, and there's a lot of talk, but he backs up the talk with work ethic. And that's what you want to see from a young guy. Look, Kevin King's out right now, so with the hamstring. So this isn't your ideal starting lineup in the secondary, but right now Tony Brown's a starter. I mean, that's where he's been. We'll see how quickly Josh Jackson, who's back from the foot injury that he started training camp out with, how quickly he works back into the rotation, but it hasn't happened yet. It's been Tony Brown, it's been Jair Alexander, it's been Tremont Williams in the slot. So if you want to know what the Packers think of Tony Brown, he's making the team, and there's a good chance he's going to be playing some this year.
So when we got together to do our position previews before training camp, we talked about the depth that the Packers had at the time at secondary, just in general. And at the time we were like, especially at corner, we were like, well, gosh, after those starting four, who's there? Yeah. And now I feel like we're at this point where in training camp, we've seen a lot of these bottom of the roster secondary guys. Like we've seen not just Tony Brown, but also like a Shandon Sullivan and Kabion Ento, some of those other guys, Holman especially. And they've been pretty impressive through camp. I mean, they've got some solid backups there in secondary.
Yeah, they've gotten a lot of work, for sure. I don't know if those guys are anything more than just guys or if they're players yet. And I think that's still to be proven, because it's one thing to do it on Ray Nitschke Field. It's another thing to do it on Soldier Field or Lambeau Field. And so that's what we haven't seen yet, obviously, but they've gotten a lot of work. They've gotten a lot of quality reps. Does that mean that they're guys or are they players? We don't know that yet.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. Unproven, but with what I've seen, I've been impressed. Marcel wants to know, can Elton Jenkins be a starter on the left side for Lane Taylor, or is he only a guy for rotation? I think we've seen Elton Jenkins play at right guard.
Yep, center
a little bit of center.
Especially right guard, though.
Yes, when Billy Turner gets moved over to right tackle. So, but on the left side.
Well, if Lane Taylor is actually in a competition, then Elton Jenkins would be theoretically the person that is competing with him. Mm-hmm. And so under that, not hypothetical, because Matt LaFleur says that that's happening, yes, he could go to the left side. I would be stunned if Lane Taylor was not your starting left guard week one. I mean, I would be just stunned if that was the case. But he's technically in a competition, and so, yeah, that's possible.
Lane Taylor started in the game against the Texans. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see who starts at left guard in the game.
It's got to be Lane Taylor, right? I would think it'd be Lane Taylor, but yeah.
Okay. If it's that big of a competition,
we'll see.
Who knows?
You want to get him? Yeah, I mean, you make a good point there. Like, if it is that big of a competition, you want to get Elton Jenkins on the line with the starters at left guard. Like, you want to see what that looks like, because offensive line play is about the collective whole. It's not one guy.
Mm-hmm. Josh wants to know, does Jamal Williams start week one if Aaron Jones isn't ready? Well, right now, Aaron Jones is apparently healthier than Jamal Williams.
But he won't play in Baltimore.
No.
He won't play in Baltimore. Yeah. Aaron Jones, the fact that he got back from that hamstring tightness, quotes, in 1 week, shows that it really was not an injury. Because if you have a hamstring injury, you don't return in a week. No matter how mild it is, because you don't risk having a second injury and re-tear of the muscle, and then you're out for a long time. So he was fine. He is fine. Will he stay fine? That's the question. We don't know. But if he does, I mean, he's their starter. He's their guy.
Mm-hmm. So I think Chase is asking everybody this, including Pete. And that's what I mean by everyone. I mean Pete. Because he brought this question last time. He says, Ryan, would you take a snap at running back for $5,000?
Yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah?
I would be terrible. You don't want me to take a snap at running back for $5,000, but I'll take a hard hit for $5,000. Shoot.
What do you think Pete said?
He's in better shape than me, so I would think yes.
He was vehemently against it.
For $5,000?
For $5,000, he said no.
I need to have a talk with Peter.
He said he is not cut out for it.
One snap. Just one snap, right? Not a drive, not a game. Like, I would do it. They wouldn't put me on the field because I can't run, but I can get hit with the best of them. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Ryan. Well,
for $5,000, I ain't doing that for free, but yeah,
right.
I like money.
All right, we'll see you out there next practice.
One snap.
Chase says that you're braver than Pete, and I would agree.
No. It's not bravery's not anything to do with it. No. I like money. You want to give me $5,000 to have Blake Martinez smack me in the next week, then okay, whatever.
I will find Blake in the locker room.
$5,000? Yes, I'll do that. $5?
Okay.
No. Keep your pocket money. Give me $5,000. Yeah, for one snap. Yeah.
All right. I would pay to see it, so I will chip in.
Would you pay $5,000?
Maybe not the entire $5,000, but I would pay some. I'd pay part of it.
I'm surprised that Pete even said no. Like $5,000 for one snap.
Didn't even think about it.
I'm wearing pads and a helmet, right? Like, it's not like.
I don't think so.
I'm not. Like, would it hurt? Yeah, but would it hurt more than $5,000? No.
All right. Well, you've got your priorities straight. So
yeah.
Thank
money,
you.
Green.
Great. All right. Let's talk about this because this is something that I've seen people comment a couple times. Tommy says that the Packers should trade for tackle Trent Williams. Doesn't sound like Trent Williams is for sale, though.
No. Nor do the Packers are in the market for Trent Williams. So, I mean, every team in the league would like a 7-time Pro Bowl left tackle. Don't get me wrong. It's just that the Packers are one of the extremely few teams that have a better left tackle than Trent Williams. So,
also money is
yeah, right, exactly. Yeah. There's also a salary cap. So, yeah, no.
So, no, we don't mean to take that question flippantly, but it just doesn't sound like it's realistic.
No, it's just all right, salary cap and all the trade assets, all those things, but where do you put him? Like, all right, so you say right tackle, but you're not paying Trent Williams all that money to play right tackle. So you don't really have a place to put him because he ain't taking David Bakhtiari's spot. Depth
is certainly a concern, but the starters are already there, so it's just about filling out what comes next. Right. Jojo has a question. Will Alan Lazard make the team? What a great question, because I think every single day I have a new combination of wide receivers in my brain that I go through. Like, gosh.
I don't think you're the only one. I think someone with the initials, Brian Gutekunst, also has that.
Yeah, he said today in the press conference, not about any particular position, but he said that literally nothing is a lock right now.
No, and I don't all the way believe that.
Except for maybe starting quarterback.
But I do think that receiver is still open. Look, if I had to guess right now, they keep 6. It's Devontae Adams, Rama Allison, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Equinemius St. Brown, Jake Kumro, and Trevor Davis. But Trevor Davis, he's hurt. He was having a phenomenal camp before he got hurt. Probably his best camp, but he's hurt. And how many times? I mean, he's hurt a lot. It happens a lot. Darius Shepard. I know you asked about Alan Lazard, but Darius Shepard is kind of a Trevor Davis type guy. There's the returnability. He's a solid football player. He's had a very solid camp. Can they swap there? Maybe. Do they keep 7? Probably not. But if they do, is it Shepard? Is it Jamon Moore, who had a great, according to Matt LaFleur, practice on Sunday? Didn't have the same plays today, but is there a 7th guy? Could Lazard be the 7th guy? Here's the thing that was interesting for Alan Lazard. Matt LaFleur said that you turn on the tape, and he's the first guy down on kickoff every time. It's the best thing he can do. It's better than any route he could run, any catch he could, any pass he could catch. The fact that he's giving that effort on special teams, that's how you get on the 53 from his spot. So he's doing the things. Just we'll have to see.
Mike has an interesting question, something that I know just generally that we've talked about in the past. Does Aaron Rodgers have a say on who will make the final roster of his wide receivers?
No, not really.
Does his preference matter?
I don't think it has. Should it? I don't know if they completely tune him out, but Brian Gutekunst has the autonomy of the roster, just like Ted Thompson had the autonomy of the roster. I think that Matt LaFleur, his preference schematically, especially on offense, has a whole lot more weight than the quarterbacks. I'm wondering. I'm guessing you're wondering, can he dictate Jake Kumro's fate? Because obviously Aaron Rodgers loves Jake Kumro. I don't think it hurts to have your quarterback's favor, especially when it's Aaron Rodgers. But I don't think it's something that is at the top of the list of things that Brian Gutekunst considers.
All right, we're going to take one more question from you guys here to ask Mr. Ryan Wood.
Mr.
The enthusiastic Ryan Wood.
Yeah, well, okay.
Andy has a question. He asks, this is kind of a tricky one, so get your thinking cap on.
Oh, boy.
Who is the surprise cut from this team at the end of training camp / preseason?
It's always, I know why you want to ask it, and it's a great question. It really is. Just so hard, because here's the thing about that question. If I knew, it wouldn't be a surprise. All right, so I know why you're asking. It's not going to be Trent Williams. That was my answer at start of camp. Like, not saying that he was going to get cut, but if you're looking for like genuine surprise, because he's 36, he's fine. I don't know what's going on with Trent Williams, but the guy's a machine. He's never hurt, and at least in Green Bay, and he never misses a practice. And I don't know how he does it at that age, but that's just how he's built. So,
just a surprise or like a power move, like you're cutting this guy.
I mean, we
and
already saw
statement.
it, right? Like Mike Daniels was the surprise cut of camp. There's not. Okay. You could be surprised. That's why you call it a surprise. I can't imagine there's going to be another Mike Daniels level surprise in camp at the end of camp.
Just because the Packers are running out of guys that are like Mike Daniels.
Now, last year, the biggest surprise was the fact that they didn't keep a fullback on their roster, which is not a very, big surprise because it's a fullback. And, I mean, not to be flippant about it, but not to say who cares, but who cares? It's a fullback. That's not going to happen this year. It's totally changed. They actually value fullbacks now. Could there be a bigger surprise than a fullback not staying on? Maybe. It's just so hard to say.
Now, would it be
a surprise?
Would it be a surprise if the Packers cut DeSean Kaiser? Because I know.
No, I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not saying he's going to get cut. I just look at DeSean Kaiser and I say, how has he forced them to keep him on the roster? And he hasn't. So, no, I think it's definitely possible that the backup quarterback of this team right now is not on the roster. But it's very possible that it is. It could go not either way. I mean, it's probably better odds that they keep either Kaiser or Boyle than not, but they could look at the open. I would imagine they are looking at the open market at the end of camp to see if there's a veteran to bring in, especially if there's someone that has intimate knowledge of this LaFleur offense, because you don't want to be teaching a guy a new offense September 1st. I don't know. It's tough to say a surprise just because by nature it's a surprise. I mean, do you have anyone in mind?
No, I mean, to you I'll ask. The tour group, hello.
Hello.
To you, I will ask about DeSean Kaiser. How big of a deal are these last 3 preseason games for him? Like, is this it? Is it make or break for him?
You would think he's probably at a crossroads. I mean, he's got to show that he belongs in this league. He hasn't shown that yet, and he's got the physical ability. There's no question. The 2 things that have been wrong and that have really hurt his career is he too often throws the football or gives the football to the other team. And number 2, when he doesn't do that, he's not nearly consistently accurate enough when he throws it to his team. Both of those are pretty big deals. And so the fact that he was clean, and as he put it, every drive ended in a kick Thursday night against the Texans, that helps. For sure. But then he's got to be more consistent throwing to his guys. I mean, he missed throws. He made throws. You got to iron that out. So, no, I don't think he's forced the Packers to keep him, but he's not out of it either. I mean, he's very much in the mix.
All right. Some food for thought. Sleep on it. If you think of any surprises.
I hate to go in the middle like that, but it's just, and I get that. That's probably the question I get the most, and it's always like, well, if I had a crystal ball, I mean, that's the reason why they're surprise cuts is because they're a surprise. You're not supposed to be able to know what's going to happen. Like Josh Sitton in 2016 or Mike Daniels this year, like they were huge surprises. And I know they were huge surprises because I'd never imagined it was going to happen. So,
Interesting. All right. Well, like I said, Ryan, if you think of something, Ryan will be doing some form of live content before the game in Baltimore. We're still working out the details because, as I mentioned earlier in this broadcast right now, I will not be there. So you will not have my equipment unless you'd like to bring all of this with you.
I wouldn't. It's a lot to carry on a plane there.
It's kind of a lot.
I never envy you or the TV folk that have to carry all their equipment on a plane. You know, I have a tape recorder in a backpack. That's
traveling light is hard. It's hard. I'm gonna have to bring a separate suitcase for all this stuff. I know it seems like a very simple thing we're doing right now, but there's like this backpack.
No, there's a lot going on behind the camera there.
Lots of stuff. But anyway, some way we're gonna make it work. You'll either hear from Ryan, you'll either hear from both of us. Something will happen. We'll make it work. It's fine. But yes, make sure you're following Ryan and all of us on social media during the game in Baltimore. I will not be there, but we will be live tweeting, giving you our thoughts, and of course we'll have tons of content over on PackersNews.com, so make sure you're checking that out. And of course, we're doing all the same stuff after practices, so today we'll have some stuff over on the Packers News page as well. Ryan, as per usual, I can now end this all on my phone, so I'm not
have to do a little dance.
But I will still give you a moment if you have any final thoughts, any final words to share with our lovely
Well, I would have needed first thoughts to have final thoughts. No, thank you for everywhere you are, wherever you are, especially people tuning in. We love it when we hear people tuning in overseas. And if you see us at practice, don't be afraid to come up. And it was great meeting a viewer from Tucson today. So
yes,
it was great.
All right,
It's great meeting you guys.
Thank you, Ryan. And thank you guys.